everybody. Yesterday I released a video outlining the changes to the Tombs of Amascut, the balance changes and bug fixes, and then today, the 2nd of September, the day after, they've actually made some reversions to that. Now I'll be honest, I've been pretty busy today and I'm not going to be able to edit this video much or anything, but I would like to talk about these and give my 2 cents, so we are just going to talk as we go down the page. I hope that's okay. Let's get into it. Yesterday, there was a lot of outrage with the community. I went over this yesterday, but basically, the potion changes for the mid-raid rewards, the drop rates suspected to be nerfed, and also the core and the P2 of Wardens in general being significantly slower. Now, let's just have a look into why Jagex are revisiting this. As you can see, it says, it's clear that many of you feel like we've missed the mark on this update. We've been reviewing your feedback and would like to discuss changes we've already made, and what will come next in the game update. So, if you're watching this video, the game update is going to be taking place on Thursday the 8th of September, which is a day later than the normal system update, but it's a good thing because it gives them more time to test. Now, they want to have a look and dispel some myths surrounding the motivation for change. A lot of people thought that Jagex just wanted to shaft the raid, right? But they actually had good reason for it. In the lead up to the raid's release, they always kept it public that their intentions were for it to be the most accessible raid yet, which is done by the invocation system, obviously, and you can scale from 0 to 600. But on release, it became apparent that normal mode was the go-to for the majority of players. Now if you're watching this, you've been watching my videos, everyone in my clan, most people watching, everyone's aim was 150. And after sending 1-2 entry modes, almost everyone could get there. Hell, even now after the update, I can do the 150 normal mode with 2 mil gear. So honestly, it might even still be too easy, but I think it's a good place for it to be in with the changes that they've made. I think all these changes they made for the majority were healthy. The only one I really wanted changing was the core on P2, because 3 to 4 wardens every time you're soloing was a bit much. Now, they have stated here they do not want to limit who can participate. They want it to be healthy content long term, but they also want it to be fun. And they've acknowledged that the balancing was off, having made too many changes at once. Now, what are they going to do about it? Well, firstly, the wardens. Now, as I've just stated, the wardens were the one thing I really wanted changed a little bit. Here it outlines what they actually did to the wardens. I went over this in yesterday's video, but the main problem with it is that they reduced the core exposure time by 7 cycles. On P2, when you get a down on the warden, a core comes out. Before, you had 25 ticks to attack it, which meant you got about 8 attacks in. Now though, it's been reduced to 18, which means you only get 5. So it's been made a lot harder. It's not necessarily that the wardens have been made harder, it's just a longer fight, so it drains your supplies more. The only other part of this that people were moaning about was this: reduce the base allowed duration for solving the skull mechanic during phase 3. Now if you play with insanity on, this doesn't really matter to you because you're used to it, but if not, this did affect some people, especially mobile players who couldn't click that accurately. Let's see what they're doing. Now, the main reason they made the change was that it felt as though players were spending more time hitting the core rather than engaging with the unique mechanics of the room. Which is fair. With how long the core was up for, half the fight in P2 did feel like you were just hitting the core. They wanted that to be changed, so you had to deal with the mechanics. However, with the changes to liquid adrenaline as well, this ended up being a little bit over the top. So a lot of players are upset at it. So what they've done, and this is live now, this has been hotfixed into the game already, is that the Warden's HP remains the same. So bear that in mind, they've not reverted the HP on the Wardens that they're buffed. But they've increased the hit points of the Warden's core significantly. Now this sounds like a buff to the raid, but if you read the next line, they've reduced the hit point scaling of the Warden's core when additional invocations are active by 75%. What this means is, it is going to be harder to 2-3 down on entry mode. But because of the scaling they've added, it should be consistent. If you get a 3 down consistently, that's now always going to be possible. And with certain invocation levels, team sizes and weapons, 2 downs are possible. As you can see here, it does say they want to provide an incentive to coordinate and be quick with your switches to secure reliable 2 downs. So even if most of the time it's going to be a 3 down, you can get 2, which is huge news. It's going to be just like before. Now, a really unique take on this that they've done is that they've increased the Warden's core exposure phase duration with each subsequent down. What this means is, the first time that it pops out, I believe they've put in it to what they nerfed it to, 18 ticks. And then the next time it's out, it'll stay down for longer, giving you probably another attack. And the next time it's out, it'll remain exposed for even longer. So on your 3rd or 4th down, it might even be up for longer than 25 ticks. I don't know the specifics of this, but it's an incredibly healthy change. And that's it for the Wardens. Every single thing they have outlined in this blog is an incredible update. Every single thing here, even increasing the hit points of the Warden's Court, but reducing the scaling. That, in my opinion, as a game designer and developer, is just the best thing they could have done. So, don't go at Jagex too hard for this. Now, the mid-raid loot. Now, as I stated earlier, they made Ambrosia and Liquid Adrenaline 1 dose, which caused a lot of backlash. On top of this, they also made it so Ambrosia was only in the life pack, meaning it was impossible to get Ambrosia and Liquid Adrenaline in one bucket. So, people couldn't just opt in for just straight power, like they were before, where they got Ambrosia, Liquid Adrenaline and Smelling Salts in one bucket. It was impossible. But they've made some changes to the updates. First of all, they're not going to revert the nerfs they did to Ambrosia and Liquid Adrenaline directly, but they are going to make them back into singular 2-dose potions. It's just the amount that you get is going to be nerfed, so you'll get 1 2-dose potion rather than 2 like you were before. But it's better than getting 2 1-dose potions, so this will save your inventory slots. Next, they've done something really interesting. They're keeping power to be Smelling Salts and Adrenaline. They're keeping life to have the Ambrosia. But on Chaos now, they're adding a chance to offer some Ambrosia. Which means in Chaos, sometimes, you're going to be able to get Brews and Smelling Salts and Liquid Adrenaline and Ambrosia just like before. It's just going to be a lot rarer. If you hit that bucket, it's probably going to be even better than taking power, because it'll have some brews or restores on top. Bear that in mind. However, like they said, more than likely, choosing power than life will be the go-to. Another thing they've done is the life pack now contains a higher quantity of supplies. Now, I thought it had a lot anyway, but this is just a huge buff in general. This is a good change because it means that players still have to rely on their mechanics to clear the raid, but they've got more chances to screw up. More supplies means more mistakes can be made and you can still get the clear. So this is a solid way to go about it. Finally, an absolutely incredible thing they've done is adjusted Liquid Adrenaline to increase the duration that a single dose lasts from 30 to 150 seconds. That's 5 times. That's 2.5 minutes. That means that if you only have 1 Liquid Adrenaline now, which I think is impossible with the new system, I think you always get 2, it lasts for 2.5 minutes. That's basically the entire Warden's P2. So 1 Adrenaline will last the entire fight, which is amazing. The final controversial topic that had a community outlash was drop rates. Now in the blog there was very ambiguous and they simply said they reduced the base chance for tradable uniques and they've increased the effect that the invocation level has on uniques. But no one knew what this meant, so people just assumed, oh, they've shafted the drop rate at 150 and now it's really good at 300, right? No one knew what it meant. So now they've gave us a little bit of clarity on that. Now it is worth noting, these are not the full rates. These are not the full rates at all. So where it says 1 in 22.4 here, this is not correct. Which I'm guessing you'll know if you've sent a load of raids, because 1 in 22 is far more common than it is. But they're really good examples. So if we take a look at this, again, as an example, uniques at raid level 150 are 12% rarer than before. So if you were expecting to see a drop every 20 raids, it'd now be 22.4. So 150 invocation level is slightly nerfed. So if we take the crowdsourcing as an example from before the nerf, it was about a 1 in 40 according to most people. So now it's probably about a 1 in 45. But at raid level 200 and up, everything is just skyrocketing. So at raid level 200, they're 5% more common than before. Now this is more common than before the raid, not 5% more common than at 150. It's 5% more common than before the change. So if you're expecting to see a drop every 20 raids, you'd get one every 19. And then at 250, it scales even harder and it's 25% more common than it was before. So again, if you're expecting to see a unique every 20 raids, you'd get one every 16. And at 300, if you're expecting to get one every 20 raids, you'd get one at 14. Now, this means at 300 raid level, an expert run, you're roughly 2.5 times more likely to get a drop than a 150. So if we do assume that a 150 raid level is about a 1 in 45 drop rate now, that means that a 1 in 300 raid level is about a 1 in 18. And then if the trend carries on, if a 450 raid level is 2.5 times that, that's about a 1 in 7.2. And then if a 600 is 2.5 that's less than a 1 in 3 chance for a purple, which is insane in a solo. However, it could be the case that a 600 raid level is 2.5 times a 300, because it's double 300. And if that's the case, then it's about a 1 in 7.2 for a 600 solo. Cool numbers. This means we have confirmation on one thing. If you can clear an expert raid consistently, and it takes you less than 2.5 times what it takes you to clear a 150, then it's better to do expert. So if you sent 150s in 30 minutes, as long as you cleared the 300 in like 1 hour 15 minutes, it's actually the exact same purple rate on both. So if you clear an expert faster than 1 hour 15 minutes, then it's better to do expert as long as you do it consistently. It's really nice that this has been proven, because while they're not the exact drop rates, that is some amazing knowledge to have. And finally, we have a few more other issues. These are just things in the raid that aren't related to drop rates, mid-raid items, or the Wardens. So first, they added some rocks to make it riskier to melee back. It has caused some pathing issues in the room, but they're looking to resolve it next week. The movement delay at the start of P3, I'm assuming Wardens, can result in you taking high damage if the player is lagging at all. So they're trying to make a change that reduces the duration of the delay. On the Path of Het, a player called Molgot Kirby, as you probably know, popularised a method where you could get an extra couple of ticks in mining the statue. Now yesterday they accidentally fixed this, but because Jagex are awesome, they want to keep it in the game, so they're actually going to unrevert the fix. So they're going to manually recreate the strategy so that players can be rewarded and get an extra hit in if they're paying attention, which is huge. Thumbs up to Jagex for that one. Another one that a lot of people have been requesting since the raid's release actually, is that if you've got a timer on for the 40 minutes, 35 minutes, 30 minutes or 25 minute invocations, the timer actually ends, so you've got a challenge time and an overall time. The time for those actually ends when the Warden's death animation ends, which adds like 5 or 6 seconds on. But they're going to make it so that as soon as its HP hits 0, that's when the timer stops. So no more missing the raid times by a second. If you miss them by a second after this, get good. It is worth noting as well, the scoreboards for the challenge and overall time for each team size are going to be reset soon. Not just yet while they're in the balancing phase, however it is going to come, so bear that in mind. Now we're on to probably the best thing in the entire patch notes. Well, not, but the best thing in the other issues section. Players felt as though the Path of Amascut wasn't any quicker than before, even though yesterday's news post stated that they'd made it a little quicker, which they did. For context, in solos, they lowered the monkeys on waves 4, 5 and 6 from 3 melee ranger and mages to 2. So you had to kill 3 less monkeys, which did speed it up a little bit. However, they've made it even quicker today by combining waves 2 and 3. Now it's worth noting, wave 1 summons melee monkeys, wave 2 summons range, and wave 3 summons magic. So now in a solo on wave 2, you're going to get 2 rangers and 2 mages in one wave. But this should speed up the overall room, so a good change overall. And finally, an issue with soft locking. This actually happened to one of my clanmates, which is really funny, but if you die at the same time as the Wardens, you can actually soft lock yourself in the raid. But that's now fixed again. And that's it. For a recap, most of the things are already in the game in a hotfix. That's these right here. Most importantly, Liquid Adrenaline now lasts 2.5 minutes. The Chaos Pack can now offer Liquid Adrenaline and Ambrosia. The Life and Chaos packs are now better and offer more increased items. The Life and Chaos packs now offer more items. The Warden's Core has a lot of changes as we discussed earlier and went over in detail, but basically it's now better and you can 2-down it and you'll more than likely get 3-downs very often, especially with the Liquid Adrenaline changes. And finally, the changes that are going to be put in on the 8th of September. The mid-raid loot will offer 2-dose potions. They'll fix some pathing issues for Zabak. The in-raid timer will end when the last Warden reaches 0 HP rather than the death animation. And they're going to recreate the little mining skip that you can do. And that's it. Sorry that this hasn't been as well edited as my other videos. Again, I just wanted to go over this because I'm kind of at the forefront of Raids 3 information at the minute and a lot of people are asking me to keep them up to date. I feel like going over it like this is a good way to do it. Because I've not got the time right now to edit, I've just read it myself. I just thought I'd release a video on this so other people can keep up to date. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want to look at my other more edited content, check out the channel. Hope this was informative. Again, I know it's brief, I know it's quick, I know it's unedited, but I think it's a solid video and a solid overview. Let me know what you think. Love you and leave you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!